Yes.
And we are going to turn it over to Danielle Murphy from the Ohio Attorney General's Office, and she is in the Consumer Protection section as an educator.
Good afternoon. Let's see if you can hear me with this here, so I don't have to hold it the whole time. Can you hear me? Yes. Well, good afternoon. I am going to talk about scams. I'm also going to talk a little bit about identity theft and cybersecurity as well. But before I get started talking about scams, I just want to tell you a little bit about our office. Attorney General Dave Yost is our 51st Attorney General. And some of the duties of his office is that he is the attorney for the state of Ohio. It's not advancing. Sorry, we thought we had this all. There we go. He is the attorney for the state of Ohio. However, that doesn't mean you can call him for personal representation, right? What it means is he represents all state elected officials, including the governor's office, the secretary of state's office, and the treasurer of state's office. Our office also supports local law enforcement, and we do this in a couple different ways. We have the Police Officers Training Academy, which is in London, Ohio, and their officers across the state get the training that they need to make sure Ohio citizens are safe. They have a gun range and a high-speed track and many other classes to make sure those officers are up to date and current. We also support local law enforcement through our Bureau of Criminal Investigation Office, or BCI. So how many of you here like to watch NCIS or CSI, those crime scene shows? Well, that's what BCI does. We solve crimes and homicides with DNA analysis and fingerprint analysis. However, it does take our office longer than that hour to solve those crimes. Our office also enforces certain laws that are passed by the General Assembly, and those laws include environmental protection, charitable organizations, and consumer protection. And I'm here today from the consumer protection section of the office. We want to ensure a safe marketplace for Ohio consumers, so we enforce those laws related to home improvement work, seeing a store advertisement, or buying a vehicle. So back in 2022, our section took in more than 23,000 complaints from Ohio consumers like you. This is an example of some of the complaints that come into our section. And I've been doing this job almost 10 years now, and year after year, motorized vehicles tends to be number one. For example, maybe you bought a new vehicle and that vehicle turned into the 11. Maybe you took your own vehicle in to get repair work done and they did shoddy work, or they didn't repair that vehicle at all. Those would all fall under that category of motorized vehicle. But I'm here today to talk about seniors, and seniors ages 60 and up represent about 15% of the population, but unfortunately attract more than 30% of the reported fraud. Well, the FBI wanted to know why exactly seniors are targeted, so they did a survey. Number one, seniors are trusting and polite. As you know, you were raised very different than your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, right? Your handshake is your word, and you want to believe in people. Now, I do want to tell you, just because you're seniors doesn't mean that you're the only one that gets scammed. You do not think that. I can tell you multiple stories of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and even younger that get scammed. I've seen it because I travel the state and I talk to groups like this, and not only seniors. But the number one reason that we see is seniors have more assets. A senior has worked hard, investing, putting away for their retirement. Also, a senior doesn't have their children living at home more than likely, supporting those kids or putting children through college. And that is the main reason we see. Also, seniors are less likely to report that fraud. There's a couple different reasons why this may be. Maybe someone doesn't even realize they're part of a scam, or maybe they're too terribly embarrassed to tell someone. My mother-in-law was part of a scam, and I'll tell you her story a little bit later. But when I started talking to her, she started crying, and she was terribly embarrassed. I can't believe I was so stupid. How could this happen? Please do not feel that way. These scammers are very good at what they do. And they really will take anybody, they'll take all your money, and then if they've taken all your money, I've seen where then they'll go for your possessions. Also, seniors are independent and isolated. My mother lives about an hour away from me, and I can call her and check in with her, but I can't know what she's doing every moment of the day, right? So scammers use a variety of tactics to get to us. I'm gonna point out a few red flags that I want you to remember. And if one of these things happens to you, I want you to say, Danielle told me that this is a scam. If they request a wire transfer, a prepaid money card, or a gift card as the form of a payment, more than likely it's a scam. The number one form of payment that they like are gift cards, and Target gift cards is up at the top. What they can do is they can get the numbers off the back of those cards and they can transfer those funds electronically and your money is gone. That's why they like those forms. If they request personal information of any kind, what we call this is phishing. And these scammers are just phishing for your personal information. I would suggest that you would ask, why do you need this information? Or more importantly, I don't do business over the phone. So I'll call you back when I have time and when I can think through this. Pressure to act immediately. These are those scare tactic scams, right? These scammers want to pull on every emotion possible. First of all, they're catching us off guard. Then they're scaring us into thinking that we have to act immediately, right? They're also pulling our heartstrings. It's your grandson, it's your granddaughter, I'm in so much trouble. Then they're gonna be your best friend and they're gonna come right alongside you and tell you that they can help you fix all of it. Request to keep the conversation a secret. We see this in a couple different scams, particularly. One of them is the grandparent scam, where your grandson or your granddaughter says, please don't tell mom and dad, I'm already in enough trouble, let me do that in person, right? Or we see this in the romance scam, where you start a relationship with someone possibly, and they don't want you to tell your family members or friends, because then they'll say that that relationship will have to end. Guaranteed to make money. We're all financially driven, right? We're waiting on that benefit to come, working hard for our paycheck, and scammers know that. So the thought that we're going to gain some money or gain some gifts is a big, thing for us, and the scammers know that. Request for a large down payment. So for instance, maybe you're in the market for a vehicle. You go to the dealership, you take it for a drive, and you come back and that salesperson says, well, today and today only, I'm gonna take $1,200 off your total. Well, you better make sure that they put that in writing, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your word against their word. And if they don't put that in writing, I would say, move along, go to another business. They're probably not an upstanding business. So I kind of skipped. I was a little distracted with that rate. Sorry. And sending money out of the country is another red flag that it's a scam. So let's go ahead and talk about the scams that we're, so first of all, let's go ahead and watch this video clip. This is just kind of breaking down what I just talked to you about, those red flags.
The Clarks are good at doing things to protect themselves. But when Ken Clark receives an unexpected call from someone saying there was a problem with his Social Security account, he's very concerned. The caller says Ken is in danger of his next Social Security check not being sent to him unless he clears up his account. The caller asks for Ken's Social Security number and for a $200 rush processing fee payable by gift card to get the issue resolved. Right away, there are some red flags that Ken might recognize as signs of a scam. If you're feeling pressured, or if something doesn't seem right, trust your instincts. Hang up. Beware of anyone demanding immediate upfront payment. Many times, scammers will pressure you to act immediately. Never pay in gift cards, cash, or a wire transfer, as those are scammers' favorite payment methods, since there's typically no way to get your money back. Always be wary of requests for personal information, especially your Social Security number. Don't always trust the number that appears on caller ID. And always remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. This is a year where staying safe is more important than ever. So protect yourself and your family. Watch out for scams And if you suspect something, contact Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost's office by visiting ohioprotects.org.
Now let's talk about the scams we're seeing here in Ohio. The first one is the grandparent scam. Now, before I talk about this, I want to show you another video clip. This is from the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell. And I will say that you'll see that this video is a little bit old and dated, but it's still very relevant today. So let's go ahead and watch this, and then we'll talk a little bit more after this video.
All right, a warning tonight about deceptive thieves robbing elderly victims, sometimes on their own doorsteps. We'll show you how the scam works and reveal inside secrets from a con man who pulled it off many times. Carter Evans reports tonight.
Hello. You're watching a scam artist in action.
Okay, bye-bye.
He just took $10,000 from Barbara McCullough. It all started with a phone call from someone claiming to be her grandson.
I said, you know, you really doesn't sound like you, but he said, I have a horrible cold. Then he started crying.
The caller said he needed bail money fast.
I went down to the bank and drew $10,000 out.
What's unusual is the scammer was caught on a security camera.
How often does one actually come to the victim's home?
This is only the second time in the 15 years that I've been working in these types of crimes.
Grandparent scams are one of the fastest growing crimes, and they all begin with a cry for help.
Hi, Grandpa. Hi. You know who this is? Randy? Yeah.
Nationwide, seniors are cheated out of nearly $3 billion a year. That's the official estimate.
I've heard upwards of $10 billion every single year because a lot of these crimes aren't reported because a lot of times they're very ashamed.
You can make 10 grand sometimes in a day if you do it properly.
A few years ago, I interviewed a con man in federal custody about his scam.
Once you get them emotionally involved, then they'll do anything for you.
I felt flattered that he even called me. Well, he called me. He didn't want to upset his parents. That's what I thought.
Detectives are now trying to track down that scam artist, and they say seniors should try and verify who's calling by asking a very personal question that only a family member would know the answer to, and also call a relative before handing over any money. Nora?
That's good information, Carter. Thank you.
So that's the grandparent scam. And one of the things that we would suggest you doing is the holidays are right around the corner, right? First of all, I want you to talk to your family and come up with a code word, a nickname, maybe something that only you and your family members would know to verify, right? That it actually is your grandson or granddaughter. But also you want to be the one asking those questions, right? Don't just throw out a name of your grandson or granddaughter. Also, I just want to point out that oftentimes when I show this video, I see people in the audience shaking their head or kind of laughing, like, how could someone fall for that? Well, imagine this. The caller ID says it's from the police department, and then on the other line is actually your grandson's voice. With AI coming, and I've seen stories, and I'm not saying that this is hit here in Ohio yet, so please don't panic, but I won't be surprised when it does. And they go off out into social media and they can get those recordings of your grandson or your granddaughter saying, going off to school, saying, bye, or whatever. And then now that's the voice on the other end is your grandson. So they have the name, they have the voice. So anyway, I just want to have you be aware of that may be coming soon. Also confirm with your family. Don't just assume that they are in trouble. Call them, text them, call your daughter or your son to verify. Could, John really have skipped school today? Is he out of the country? Could he be in trouble? And obviously don't send that money. So let's talk about another scam. And this is the imposter scam. And this is just when somebody pretends to be somebody else. So let's watch this video and then I'll tell you how we're seeing how this changes from time to time.
Explain that to me again, please.
All right, here's the deal. I'm going to pretend I'm with the IRS. I'm going to say you owe back taxes and threaten you with jail time. That'll scare you into giving me a whole bunch of your money. I also need your social security number too, because then I can really take you to the cleaners.
Unfortunately, it's never this obvious. That's why we're here, dedicated to protecting Ohio families against frauds and scams. Get the facts you need today at ohioprotects.org.
So that scam hit Ohio about 7 years ago, real hard, right? Everyone was getting those phone calls from the IRS, right? Well, now we just changed. They look at the headlines, they see what's happening in the world. Now what we're seeing is the Social Security office or Medicare or Medicaid office are calling individuals claiming that either their Social Security number has been compromised. Please verify with your own Social Security number, or let me, it's open enrollment time right now. You need to be careful. Do not take those calls. You will not get a call from Medicare or Medicaid. You want to do the research and you want to seek out who you are using, who is your provider that provides that for you. Reach out to them. However, also do not trust your caller ID. What these scammers can do is they can download an app called spoofing, and they can put any phone number and any business they want to appear on caller ID. So let me give you an example what this might look like. Diane from Lancaster called our office and she said one morning she was sitting at the kitchen table having coffee when the phone rang. Well, what do? We looked to see who's calling, right? It said it was the Columbus Police Department with a 614 area code. She immediately picked it up. Hello, Jake, is that you? Yes, Grandma, it's Jake. Well, why are you in Columbus? Are you okay? Well, Grandma, I am, but I skipped school today with a friend that came to Columbus. I was in a minor accident. You see where I'm going with this. This is the grandparent scam, and now these scammers have notched it up another level, and they've spoofed the number so it appears like Jake is actually at the police station in Columbus. So do not trust your caller ID. Don't provide any personal information or information over the phone. Like I said, I don't do business over the phone. I need to think through this. I'll call you back. And then what we suggest is you look up the actual number of who it is that they're saying they're calling. Maybe it's your financial institution saying that your account has been compromised. Please do not answer any questions. Call up, look up the legitimate number, and call them back. Prizes and sweepstakes scam. So my dad called me one day and he said, guess what, Danielle? And I said, what, Dad? He said, Publishers Clearinghouse is coming Friday at noon. I said, really? They're coming. He goes, yeah, they're coming. I said, well, did you enter Publishers Clearinghouse, Dad? He said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. So I waited till Friday at 3 and called him back, and sure enough, they didn't come and change his life forever, right? And I'm also not saying that Publishers Clearinghouse is a scam necessarily, but that's what scammers will use because that's what we know, right? We remember that Ed McMahon would go door to door with a big check and balloons and who's going to change your life, right? So that's why they use Publishers Clearinghouse. But don't pay any advance fees and taxes for these things that they say that you're going to win. That's how they get you. If you win a prize, you should win a prize for free outright in Ohio. And the other thing is, if you didn't enter it, how can you win it, right? Fake check scams. We see this in a couple different forms. I'm going to tell you an example of a couple of them. The overpayment scam, and how this works is we're selling something on Facebook Marketplace or some garage sale site or Craigslist. Somebody contacts us, they want to purchase it, and you say, okay, once I get the check, I will mail the item to you. You get the check and it's for $150 more than the item cost. So you contact the individual and you say, I'm sorry, there must have been a mistake. This is for, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get my apartment all situated and I've been buying from all different places and I just messed up on the amount. Go ahead and deposit that check and then send me the $150 with your own money. You see how that works? You've just sent them your own money, and before you know that check is gonna bounce, you've sent them your money and it's gone. There are certain things that you can glean from checks. The routing number and the numbers on the bottom mean something, and the first set of numbers or the last set of numbers should be the check number. And as you see here, they got it mixed up and they put it as the first set of numbers. So there are certain things that you can glean from these checks. Another scam that we see is the computer repair scam. And when I first started this job, what we were seeing is Microsoft was calling, right? Well, this is the scam that my mother-in-law was a victim of. When she retired, she decided she wanted to stay connected to my husband and children and I. We lived several hours with her, so she got a laptop. Well, let's just say she wasn't all that technologically savvy at retirement age to learn how to use this laptop. So it was very frustrating to her. There were pop-ups, it ran slow. She was so frustrated, she was about to throw it out the window when Microsoft called. You don't have to go anywhere or decide where to take this to fix it. Just give me the numbers off the back and I'll be happy to fix it for you. So she did, and then she gave them her credit card and lost $150. She's very lucky that they didn't then take her computer hostage and then force her to call them back to release the computer back to her. But as I said, she was terribly embarrassed and had no idea that that could have happened. She never had used her credit card online before. But again, do not be embarrassed. Just let us know and then take your computer to a legitimate source and have it clean that up so that there's no viruses or malware on your computer. The other thing that we're seeing though today mainly is maybe you're working on your computer and you get a pop-up and it says that your antivirus program needs to be run, or you have a virus. If you don't click here immediately, it's going to blow up your computer. This is a scam. This is where a scammer has gotten your information somehow and they have taken over your computer. Don't click on any links or pop-ups that come up on your computer. Go to your actual antivirus program and do a hard run when you're done working on your computer. Relationship scams. So we see this in many different forms as well. I'll tell you a quick story. I like to tell as many stories as I can of people that I know and have been scammed. So my neighbors, Beth and Jason, lived next to us for about 15 plus years. And at a later age, Beth's mother, Judy, got a divorce. And so she got an apartment and she couldn't get around very well. She had bad knees. And so she went to get her knees fixed and unfortunately didn't make it out. I know that's a sad story, but that's not the point of my story. When my neighbors, Beth and her siblings were finalizing Judy's estate, they discovered that she had sent over $100,000 of her own money to somebody that she had met and befriended online. So unfortunately, we also discovered that Judy was a money mule. And what that looks like is there were many checking accounts with different people's names. We found envelopes with different people's names and addresses all over the country that she was sending to certain jurisdictions so the police couldn't catch these scammers. We don't know if she knew that she was part of the scam, but it was pertinent and helpful information for our economic crimes unit at the office to kind of look at that and look at all that evidence to see how a scammer works. And, you know, again, she was lonely, she was just looking for friendship, and of course, this person got all that money. And also we found receipts for gold chains and cell phones and lots of other things that she sent, even more than that, $100,000. So, social media scams. One of the most important things to do is look at your settings. Who is able to see your posts if you're on social media? Is it anybody that wants to, or do you have to actually accept them as your friend? Make sure that you're going to your computer and you're checking that. Also your phone and any kind of tablet. They're all separated. You have to do that on each of them. The other thing that I would be careful about is if you get a friend request from someone that you think you're already friends with, go to your friends list. Make sure before you accept that, because what we're seeing is these scammers are stealing the profile picture. It's happened to me as well. I had to send out a message. You've seen them. Please don't accept any friends requests from me. I've been hacked. Then what we would suggest is changing your account password and redoing your accounts and passwords. So now let's switch gears and talk about cybersecurity. And you want to maintain a clean computer by installing and updating antivirus and anti-spyware programs. Don't just rely on what you get when you buy a computer. You have to get a program to run that. Make sure you delete suspicious emails, and there's a couple of red flags that you can look at on these emails. Read the content. Is it the grammar that we're used to? Does it sound like how we would talk? The other thing that you can do is you can take your mouse and you can right click over who it's coming from to see if it's actually like, for instance, maybe you get an email from Amazon customer service, right? Your account's been compromised, or your credit card or your payment method isn't working properly. You need to go here to rechange it. I would right click. If that email doesn't look like anything from Amazon or customer service, more than likely it's a scammer. Beware of those unknown attachments, downloads, and links. Those can hold viruses and infect your computer. Watch for scam websites and pop-ups. Don't just trust that the first website that pops up is legitimate. Do your research and make sure. Also, don't provide personal information over public Wi-Fi. So for example, maybe you're at McDonald's and you're just low on your data, right? So you click on their Wi-Fi. Please don't do any shopping or banking on any unprotected password Wi-Fi's. This can compromise your accounts. So now we'll wrap things up by finishing with identity theft. And identity theft occurs when someone obtains and uses your personal information without your permission to commit fraud. So what are some warning signs that maybe you've been a victim of identity theft? I talked to a couple different people today that some of these had happened to. And the first one would be denied credit. Maybe you're going to the store to do some shopping for Christmas, which I know it's crazy, it's right around the corner, right? You get up to the cashier and she says, well, today and today only, you can save 25% if you open up an account with us. You decide that it's worth it, and then they come back and they say, I'm sorry, you were denied. And that's never happened. That's your first red flag that something could be going on with your identity. Unauthorized charges on your bank statements and your credit card statements. It is so important to look at these statements. When COVID first happened, it was the first Thanksgiving and Christmas. They told us we all had to stay home, we couldn't go to our families. My husband got our credit card statement, and luckily he looked through it. There were charges to Uber. Well, clearly nobody was going anywhere, right? So luckily he saw that and called them. There was over $200 in charges to Uber. I did have the Uber app at one time. I hadn't used it in a long time. They were probably figuring people weren't using Uber, right? And so I deleted that app. Now, if I need to use that Uber again, I can open it and change my account and change my password. Debt collectors start contacting you. That's another red flag. Maybe your information has been part of a data breach. Maybe you receive unfamiliar mail, or you no longer receive mail. If for some reason you don't get your credit card statement in the middle of the month, it is not a gift to you from the credit card company, right? Somebody could have come from another neighborhood into your own and stole your mail. All they have to do is get that credit card statement. It has the account number on it. They give them a call, say, I lost my card. Can you please issue me a new one and send that card to this PO box, but keep the bills going to that address, right? It's really that easy, unfortunately. And errors on your credit report. So everyone gets one free credit report from the 3 credit reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And they changed it to be weekly during COVID. And we just got an email from the Federal Trade Commission where they're going to continue it weekly. So there's no reason why you can't run your credit report. It is free to play. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. And it does not affect your credit score to run your credit reports. All of this information, by the way, is in the publications that is out on the table or that you gathered. It's on that 8.5 by 11 identity theft flyer. So how do we reduce our risk of being a victim of identity theft? Well, the first thing is shred all of your documents with personal information on it. The other tip that I give my audiences is, years ago, I had a surgery and I was on a popular pain medication. Take the labels off of your medication bottles that may compromise you. My husband took our trash out one morning and he came back in the kitchen and said, somebody had gone through all of our trash bins and trash was all over the back alley. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not saying that you're not in a safe neighborhood, but they could come from other neighborhoods looking for this information. Watch for scams. As Danielle said, you guys are now going to be educated. Please share this information. Please take more publications from my table. If there's anyone that you think could be part of any of these scams or issues that we talk about here today. Create a mail schedule. So what I always tell people is know when your mail is coming, and if you're writing checks or there's personal information in the mail that you are mailing, take it to a locked mailbox. Unfortunately, it's time to change. I have to tell you now to go into the post office and put it in a locked mailbox. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I often do these presentations with law enforcement in our neighborhood, Gahanna, which is a suburb of Columbus. One of the investigators said someone was going through the locked mailboxes and stealing mail. What they're doing now is they're taking this mail, finding these checks and washing checks, and they're going to write them out to themselves for large sums of money. They're going to go through the ATM and deposit it into their account, and before you know it, your money is gone. So I do know, before you panic, there are different pens that you can get that you can use so that they can't wash the checks. I can't give you any examples of what those are, but I know that if you go on Amazon, you can find them. Update your computer software. Don't volunteer your information, as I've said many times in this presentation. Monitor your financial statements and don't carry extra personal information on you. Not only, definitely don't carry your social security card, right? You need to memorize that number and keep that card locked at home in a safe place. Also, just as a good practice, you know what you're going to be doing as you leave the house, right? Are you going to use your own money and take your debit card, or are you going to use a credit card? Only take what you need. I know the older I get, the more forgetful I get. I could be there shopping and my wallet's there and I'm signing things and I'm trying to find the right size, and then I walk away leaving my wallet. Just to be safe, have as little in there as possible. So when we first left for COVID, our offices, I say that, it has been almost 4 years now, which is hard to believe, but we've still worked from our homes, mainly. The Attorney General created our robocall unit. And the robocall unit and the Attorney General wants to try to make Ohio one of the toughest states for these robocallers. And as I've told many of you individuals that stopped at the table, we have filed lawsuits against some of these people that are selling our numbers and using our numbers through computerized systems for these robocalls, and we've won. So hopefully soon you will start seeing less and less calls, or at least these robocalls. So let's go ahead and wrap up. And do I have a few minutes to answer some questions, or are we going to wait at the end? Okay, we'll wait for the end. You want to always report illegal robocalls. And some of you had asked me, you can go to ohioattorneygeneral.gov and you can report these phone numbers for us. We're trying to gather a database so that we can help stop these callers. Research businesses and charities, and you can do this in a couple of different ways. Before doing business with someone, you can call our office and ask how many complaints have been filed against this business or that business. You can also go to the Better Business Bureau's website. The Better Business Bureau lists businesses and they give them an A through F rating, and then they also list the complaints and they categorize those complaints. As far as charity goes, before you give your hard-earned money to someone, every legitimate charity has to register with our office. Please go to our website, go under charities, put the name of the charity in to make sure it is a legitimate charity. Beware of strangers who seek personal connections. Always keep your personal information private. The biggest tip I can give you is if it sounds too good to be true, then it is. You want to never send money through those suspicious methods, as I talked about at the beginning: wire transfer, prepaid money cards, and gift cards. Never give out your personal information. Never carry unnecessary personal information. Never pay to win a prize. And never allow strangers remote control access to your computer and never pay the full amount up front. So just to let you know, some of the resources that you can get from the consumer protection section is we offer an informal dispute resolution process. If you have a complaint with a business, you can file a complaint with us. A complaint specialist will be assigned to your case. They will work with you and that business to try to get the resolution you desire. It's not a legal service, it's a free service that we offer. The other thing that we have in our section is an identity theft unit. If for some reason you have been part of identity theft, you can call the 800 number on the back of your publications. It's also here on the magnet. And we will work with the credit reporting agencies, the debt collectors on your behalf to try to resolve that situation as well. That is what I have for you. All of these resources are in your publication, so thank you very much for listening today.
All right, thank you, Danielle. And we will answer questions in the next little bit at the end of the presentation. So hold on to those questions and you can write them down. We're going to go ahead and continue with our next presentation. And our next speaker is Jennifer Keller from Computol. And before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know, please feel free at any time to interrupt me, raise a hand. I know we said we're going to take questions at the end, but if you're having any trouble hearing me or any confusion about the topics we're going to cover, please stop me. So I want all of us to get the most out of this presentation, and I'm very passionate about empowering people, particularly the older adults, about using technology safely. My aim today is to inform you guys about threats out there in the digital world, but I don't want to scare you away from using technology. You know, that's what I do as a professional. Okay. I'm a software engineer. I work at Computol. We're a local business in Perrysburg. And we're the people you call when your computers aren't working correctly. So we help a lot of other businesses with their IT needs. And we're going to talk about cybersecurity, keeping your information safe online. And a lot of people assume, you know, if they have an antivirus or they don't do much on their computer, that, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But technology itself can't give us coverage for some of the things, these scams that are out there. Having awareness around these risks and the methods that the bad guys are using is key. Really, you guys can use those instincts about a situation and the awareness that it's not a safe situation. So the tips we're going to cover today, they work really well at home, work, any environment. And you know, everyone thinks, well, what do they want with me? But these criminals have a purpose for every situation. Everybody has something that they want. With data, it can be personal data, it can be financial data, medically related. And if you don't have anything on your computer worth stealing or selling for their purposes, they can use your computer's resources. They can do things with the resources on your computer to gain money through crypto mining, placing advertisements on your computer, and they can also use your computer as an access point to other people's information. So there are a lot of ways that they might be interested in using your information. And today we're going to talk about deception-based attacks. This involves a cyber criminal impersonating a brand or an organization that you trust. It could be a governmental organization. It could be a popular tool like Amazon, something that you'll think, oh yeah, I probably use that. We call these types of attacks phishing because the criminals are phishing for your information. That's really what they are trying to do. And this impersonation that they do is very elaborate. So these schemes can be very detailed. What I want you guys to know and feel confident in is that you can protect your information online. People, instead of technology, are a way to protect this information. And I want you guys to know what steps to take. So throughout all the examples, here, we've seen that more users are experiencing these phishing attacks. Personally and at home, the cyber criminals have amped up their use of these types of attacks. Every location, every industry, every age, status, everything. These attacks are being sent out in bulk, and it only takes one time for them to get it right. You know, we have to be vigilant with each email we receive, each text message, and we're going to look at some examples. So in the wake of COVID-19, we saw examples like this one. Here they are attempting to impersonate a department of the CDC, which at the time, you know, we were receiving real communication from. So we're going to look at some red flags. This is kind of a small example, but we'll have more examples. We want to look at the email address. The greeting is overly generic. Here it says, dear sir or madam. And they're creating a sense of urgency. It says you are immediately advised. You know, this sense of urgency is what they would like. You know, they want us to get into that. So we'll talk more about these red flags. Here's another example of a text message. And they're impersonating a government agency. So these impersonations can happen with a lot of examples. This one is a text message impersonating FedEx. So when you receive any kind of communication, the first thing I want you to do is pause and consider. That's the first line of protection. You know, are you expecting a package? Have you ever received a text notification from this number before? Are you thinking, you know, do you recognize anything here? And pay attention to the link shown. It doesn't show FedEx.com. They say they're from FedEx, but something's not adding up. As far as links, hovering is your friend. This is a way to view a link before you click on it. It shows you where it will take you. This is important because that destination could be different from what they show on the page. This could be in text or on your computer. So we want to look out for foreign domain names. Anything that doesn't end in .com, .net, .org, something you're expecting to see. This is a clear sign. A very clear sign is if it shows numbers. That is definitely not legitimate. It is a scam. Be careful though. If you're using a mobile device or a tablet, it's different on how you cover. You're gonna click on the link and hold it. You want to make sure that you hold it for enough time so it shows you where it's going to take you. If you don't hold it long enough, you may accidentally click it. You don't want that happening. And if you have any doubts, do not click on the link. It's as simple as that. If you're concerned, you don't have to click through. But now that you can see the link, how do we know it's safe? How do we know what to look for? So first thing is, are you expecting a link? Does this come from someone that you know? Was it something you just received randomly? That's a big sign that something's wrong. I wasn't thinking to click on this. Hover over the link like we just discussed and see if it leads where it says it's going to lead. If it doesn't, then do not click on it. And the third step here is about using your intuition. If you've ever been in a situation that just seems a little off, that's what this will feel like. These attacker websites may have a typo, or it just doesn't look right, or it says something that you weren't expecting. That's a sign. You want to be skeptical of any links you click on, whether in text message or on your computer. And if it passes all three tests, you say, okay, pause, another thought, and then you can click through. And remember, I know the previous speaker talked about this, but if you have any thoughts or questions. Number 2, that is the tool. How do you do that? The hovering, let me go back a bit. So on your computer, you would just hold the mouse over the link. It will show you where it actually leads. That's in that top example. I don't know if it's too small to see there, but if you just hold the mouse over it without clicking on it, it will show you the actual destination it's taking you. And on your mobile device, you'll press and hold it, and a menu will show up, showing you where that link leads. Thank you for your advice. Oh, partner. So if you're in this process considering a link or an email or any communication, you can reach out to a loved one, you know, a neighbor, someone here at the senior center, anyone can help you throughout this process and check on the legitimacy. Because if you're having any doubts, that's a sign for yourself. And slowing down is a very good practice when using technology, because oftentimes we're, you know, click and we got it. So we want to make sure that we're slowing down when using these tools. Next, we're going to talk a bit about email. We call it good email hygiene. Just like the CDC recommends to wash your hands for a certain amount of time, we want you to check an email for a certain amount of time before doing anything with it. So like we talked about, these generic greetings, that's because some of these attackers are sending out false messages. It doesn't have your name in it. It doesn't have anything relating to you, your customer. You know, it could be very simple. Examining the email address that it came from. Here we're looking for typos. We're looking for, you know, if it says PayPal.com, one of the A's might be a 0 or something. You know, they've done something close, but it's not the real legitimate website that it says it's from. And absolutely look for urgency. The sense of urgency is created as an attempt to manipulate. So we don't want to respond to that urgency. Carefully check all the links like we just talked about. Make sure that it matches where you think you're going to go. Definitely look for incorrect grammar and misspellings. We often see that type of stuff in spam emails. Sometimes it's to get through to your email because they aren't saying they're the real company, it's just a little different. And when you are sharing personal information online, such as banking information, you want to look for an S in the domain name. This is at the start of the website. Typically, it will say HTTP or HTTPS. That F stands for secure. That means that they have an encryption platform going on, and that is the site you can share your information on, you know, a trusted site. And don't click on attachments right away. Sometimes these emails will say, oh, you know, just click the form here and I need you to fill this out, you know, again, creating that urgency, but review the attachments and think, was I expecting to receive something from this person before opening? Next, we're going to talk about the dark web. And this might be your first exposure to that. But this is what cyber criminals do with the information that they receive through their phishing attack. This is a part of the internet that isn't visible to search engines. And a typical internet user would never go on it. I've never been on it. So I've seen screenshots. And it allows for anonymity for these cyber criminals. It's a hotbed for all types of criminal activity. There's other illicit things going on there, but it is also a place where your personal information is up for sale. They want to just see who will pay the most for these things. We're going to have some examples here. The note says on this one, thank you for giving us another chance to provide you with the best credit card. That's a real screenshot from a real website where they are selling credit card information. You can buy credit card numbers, counterfeit money, stolen login credentials. Hacked accounts, this is an example of Zoom accounts that were posted freely on the dark web. You can even buy software that helps you break into other people's computers.
And that's the dark web. What would you advise if you get in my work that your information has been released on the dark web? For example, let's say there's something wrong with your email that isn't.
Yeah, so her question was about if you find out you've been compromised or someone says that you've been leaked onto the dark web, and oftentimes those are additional scams. It's unfortunate to say, but if you do not have any monitoring in place, through a company, we provide monitoring for our clients, you know, but if it's not with a legitimate company and you're just receiving some sort of notice, it's likely also a scam. Thank you for that question. So, you know, on the dark web here, you can buy software that helps you break into other people's computers. Lots of personal information. Like I said, it is a hotbed for criminal activity. Here's another example. You can even purchase false identification with information obtained. We have some common prices here from Privacy Affairs Dark Web Price Index, which is a real thing. Some current prices, cloned credit card with a PIN, $25 to $35. Stolen online banking login, $100. A hacked social media account, $60. So these criminals are paying very low amounts for this information, and it's being traded around. You can hire cyber criminals to attack other computers for you, and unfortunately, this industry is growing. Yes.
For schools, we were on our class for children. So we have many children, maybe I want to.
Yes, so the dark web is not accessible through a typical internet browser like you would use. There are very, you know, illicit and negative parts of the web that are public. But this is a particularly anonymous place. So there are certain methods you have to use to access it, and it's not accessible by an average user or typically by children. I would hope not. But there's absolutely, you know, like we talked about before, scams that are saying, oh, you've been hacked and your stuff's on the dark web, you know, those types of things are trying to elicit fear and create that sense of urgency to get you to respond. But in all likelihood, if you don't have some sort of monitoring software particularly designed for this purpose, then it's, you know, that information is false. As far as, you know, accessing the dark web, it's highly unlikely that anyone outside of the industry, either criminal or, you know, a law enforcement individual, is using it. But I appreciate. Did they answer your question? Okay. Yeah.
I think even though these questions are very helpful to me personally, I think it was stated at the beginning that all the end.
We'll get through the rest and then we'll take questions later. I apologize. So like I said, the dark web, it's a very real place. They are hiring people in my profession, software engineers, who are willing to participate in this type of criminal activity for very large amounts of money. And before I go further, I wanted to let you know this information is fear provoking. I know that these threats are real. It can be very scary, and it's common for people to feel fear when they first understand what's going on out there. And I want you, I don't want to scare you away from using technology. We love technology, it's my job. But a key thing I want you to take away here is that awareness of these threats and the methods that are being used gives you the tools to, avoid this happening to you. It helps you to stay safe, and I'm encouraged that you guys are seeking out this information. Because this is how we stop them in their tracks. That's them at their game. And if you want to learn more, about a lot of the things we discussed, there are online resources available from the National Council on Aging. They have articles, webinars, videos. These links are tiny, but if I can share this presentation with any of you, I would be willing to do that. I know there's more resources available here, so that keep you informed on new methods that they are using to try to impersonate. What steps you can take to protect yourself. So thank you for your guys' time. I hope this is informative. We'll do questions when we're told. Being here today. With you. We do want to introduce ourselves. I'm Brooke Frazee. This is Bree Provost. We each work at State Bank here in town. To get started, we want to discuss with you 3 important topics, which include the top 3 payment scams, how to protect yourself, and how to avoid payment scams, and then sending money digitally safety tips. Some of these we did a little bit go over in previous speakers, but one of the most popular types of payment scams is imposter scams, which refers to any type of scam where a fraudster attempts to trick you into providing your personal information or sending you money. They also lean on 2 main forms of tactics to lure their victims. This includes authority. With this technique, scammers take advantage of the fact that people are not likely to question authority figures or fear the scary consequences from the scammer. A good example of this is the IRS or Social Security Administration telling you that you owe taxes or fees and are threatening criminal charges. A second popular tactic that they use is familiarity. Doing so, the best to be a loved one and try to persuade you to give them sensitive personal information, send them money through a digital payment platform. This can be done by check or via wire. Another good example of this is the scammer claiming to be or be with a close family member or a loved one, saying that they're in serious trouble and need emergency financial help. They will often ask for bail money or money for medical bills.
The next popular payment scam is online marketplace scams. So we all know Amazon, we all know eBay. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are used by millions of consumers every day to buy and sell products. Both buyers and sellers can fall victim to scams in an online marketplace. As a buyer, you may pay for something you either never received or what you did receive wasn't what you expected. As a seller, you may be contacted and asked to pay for a bogus business upgrade fee. Or you have a buyer who pays you more money than expected and then wants to return it and get that money back as well. And then you're out totally. Here are some red flags regarding online marketplace scams. Offers that seem too good to be true. And we talked about this in previous presentations as well, so you'll hear us say that. Product listings that demand specific non-refundable payment methods. A false sense of urgency. Being asked for a one-time passcode that was sent to your phone. They try to make it easier for you, but don't click that link. Being told to click on links to enter credentials and or change passwords. Also, the seller pushes a sense of urgency. They try to be really urgent with this. Their intention to get for you to act on impulse. We've seen it before. Personally, I've seen it. The customer comes in, the person's on their cell phone, in their purse, And they want to spend this money, they want to buy gift cards, they want all of their money withdrawn on the account. So again, just please don't act impulsively. Any person that you love won't treat you that way, or someone that you know won't treat you that way. The last type of payment scams that we're gonna go over are fake checks. That is an example is a scammer gives someone a fraudulent check to deposit and asks for them to send that money back for a variety of reasons. I know it sounds silly, but it does happen. You kind of get excited around Christmas time, you know, you spend a lot of money, you're excited that you just received this check via FedEx, the rest of your name, and people deposit their account and then it breaks out their account. Examples of fake check scams are you respond to an online job or a remote job and told you're hired. Congratulations. A company contacts you saying you want a prize or sweepstakes. And we talked about the other sweepstakes. A person buys an item from you online and then accidentally sends you a check for more than what they owe. Fake check scams work so well because with modern technology, fake checks can be indistinguishable for the real thing, even to bank employees. Again, unfortunately, we are bank employees. Unfortunately, we do see this quite a bit. The check looks like a normal check, looks like the same account number, but that person wants the check, wrote a person's account name wrong differently or account number wrong, just changed it. We process it and then the next day it all comes not in a good way for that customer. Fake checks can also be real checks written on bank accounts that belong to someone whose identity the scammer knows.
Next, we would like to talk about some awareness tips when it comes to payment scams. The first step to protecting yourself and those you love from payment scams is just simply knowing that these dishonest practices exist. Awareness really is the best form of defense against fraud. Awareness of how scams work can help you recognize them in the moment, so always remember to think it through anytime that you are suspicious. Additionally, we do have some key takeaways regarding this topic and some facts. According to the Federal Trade Commission, fraud losses reported by people between the ages of 60 and 69 topped those of all other age groups, totaling $836 million in 2022. Additionally, there are many types of payment scams used today, so knowing what red flags to look out for can help keep yourself and other older adults safe. In 2022, imposter scams were associated with the second highest reported loss amount, totaling $2.6 billion. Next, we do have a short video that we'd like to share with you before we go into our next topic.
I did.
Offer an online scam. What scammers are smarter than they? They can get your email via text messages and by phone. The good news is you can help protect yourself. Start by following these 3 tips. Learn to spot fake emails. If you get an email from someone you don't know, start by checking the sender's email address. Official companies don't use common domain addresses like @yahoo.com or @gmail.com. Next, look for spelling errors. Scammers often use typos to bypass security features or make the message more relatable. Be suspicious of unfamiliar text messages. Never share one-time passcodes that come to you via text. These are meant to verify your identity. Scammers can use them to access your online accounts. Also, don't click on links in a text message from someone you don't know, even if you're enticed with a gift offer or delivery confirmation. That link could lead to an unsafe website. Don't give information over the phone. If a caller says they're from a government agency or your bank, be suspicious. These organizations rarely call people directly. If you're not sure, hang up and contact the organization using the phone number or email address on their official website. Also, don't trust your phone's caller ID. Imposters can use special technology to make specific names and phone numbers appear on your phone. Scam are tricky, but you can protect yourself. Visit ncoa.org/scams to learn more.
Next, we want to also discuss tricks that scammers use and how to avoid them, which is our second topic. Thieves use several psychological tactics to gain a victim's confidence and manipulate them into doing what the thief wants. They do so by targeting those who are socially isolated. Many older adults live alone. This makes some people more eager to interact with a friendly voice on the other end of the phone. Ways that you can protect yourself against this scenario. If you're ever in a situation where you're unsure about what you're being told or feeling nervous about the situation, you can always ask a friend or family member advice before taking any further steps. The second common tactic that scammers use is posing as an authority figure. Most people, especially those of older generations, were taught to respect authority. That's why many scams are carried out by thieves, naming people and organizations you would normally trust, such as government agencies, charities, your utility company, or even your bank. Posing as an authority figure, again, ways to protect yourself. Never rely on caller ID, since caller ID can be spoofed to look like a familiar organization is calling you. Never grant remote access to anyone unless the request comes from a verified source. Most tech support brands will not reach out to you or request your personal information. And lastly, never give out your sensitive information, including bank account details, social security number, over the phone unless you can absolutely confirm that the contact is correct.
Third way scammers lure their victims is by creating a sense of urgency. Scammers will often try to rush you into making decisions or providing information. They do so by creating a false sense of urgency around the situation so that you're more likely to act impulsively. Never be afraid to slow down and ask questions. Give yourself enough time to think through the situation logically, which will prevent you from making any impulsive decisions. Again, just take a deep breath and just press pause before you do that. Some other tricks that scammers use are tapping into the desire to help people. Most people want to help someone who's in trouble, especially when that someone is someone they care about. For instance, like we talked about the grandchild friend or romantic interest. Again, I can't reiterate it as much, but we see it at the bank all the time. Customers that we've known for many, many years come in and recently talked about their grandchild, and we've never heard you talk about this person before. Well, they really need money. I want to help them out. They're embarrassed, and we hear it. We're in Bowling Green, so we're not in a big city. We're in a small town, Bowling Green, and we've heard it. Same with the romantic interest. You know, I met this person online. I want to send them some money. Have you ever met this person? No, I haven't met them, but we're gonna meet up. I need to wire them money before we meet up. So again, these are all red flags. How to protect yourself. If you've been contacted out of the blue, verify the call is coming from that direct number. Please hang up and call that number if you think that's not who it is. If you do send a loved one money, make 100% certain you're sending it to the right person. Double check that you have their correct information before you make that transaction. And also, it's important to remember that someone who really cares about you is not going to put you in that position of putting your finances at risk. As much as we wish we could easily spot a scam, the truth is con artists are getting craftier and more sophisticated each day. It's their full-time job. Here are some takeaways. Scammers are getting more skilled at targeting older adults. Scam can happen to you even if you don't think you're at risk. If you think you've been scammed, report it to a reputable agency right away. And again, according to the FBI, 3.5 billion in total fraud losses were reported by people over the age of 60 in 2022. The average loss per scam victim is more than $35,000 for hard-earned money.
The last topic that we would like to discuss with you are safety tips when sending money digitally. What is peer-to-peer, also known as P2P? This type of payment platform allows you to send money directly to your friend with only a few taps of your finger. P2P payment platforms can be a quick and easy way to send money to someone you know at a moment's notice, all right from your mobile phone. And they are ideal for everyday and emergency situation, giving recipients direct access to their money. How do payment platforms and apps work? P2P payment platforms such as Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo allows users to send and receive money from their mobile devices through either a linked bank account, debit card, or a credit card. How can I stay safe when sending money to someone that I know using a digital payment platform? Let's review quickly the 5 tips that will help you stay safe when sending money digitally. So the first one is only send money to people that you trust. Always limit your recipients to family members, friends, and other people that you trust. If you send money to a stranger in error, it may be difficult to get the funds back. Sending money digitally, the second tip that we will go over is be aware of payment scams. A payment scam is when you're tricked into authorizing a payment under false pretenses. A good example including this is you receive a call from someone pretending to be from your utility company. They claim there's a problem with your account and then they guide you through a process to hopefully fix the problem. This fix requires a one-time password being sent to your phone via text message. If you give the scammer that code, they may be able to take over your payment platform account and transfer money without you knowing. The third safety tip is always confirm your recipient's contact information. Because mistakes can easily happen, you want to send a family member money that you owe, you type in their mobile phone number, username, or email address, you enter the amount, and then you hit send. But your family member claims that they never received the money that you sent. You check and realize that you entered their information incorrectly and accidentally sent money to a total stranger by mistake. So that's why it's so important to verify all that information. Keep in mind that it's your responsibility to make sure that you have the correct contact information for the person you're sending money to. Additionally, you can follow these tips to prevent sending money to an unknown person. Always double check for typos in the recipient's email address before you hit send. And if the payment platform you're using offers the QR code feature, you can always use that to confirm the correct recipient and their information. And when in doubt, contact the recipient to verify their information. You can also do a test payment of $1 to make sure the money is going where.
The fourth tip is to protect your payment platform accounts. If you regularly use mobile deposits, it's essential to protect and monitor your account. Here's some great practices. Use a strong password. I know it's easy to use that same password every time, but if you're using it over multiple sites, multiple platforms, you do need to change it up. If possible, use multi-factor authentication. Don't share your credentials with anyone, especially someone you don't know. Set up alerts in your accounts, so you'll be notified of transactions when you're not logged in. You can set up text alerts with your financial institution. You can set up text alerts with your credit card companies, and if you're not familiar with that, you want to reach out to do that. They'll help you with that. Review your bank accounts and your most recent activity in your payment platform to stay on top of that unauthorized activity. Understand your various payment options. Check the terms and conditions of the method. You should research the protections and rules for that specific platform. Not all transactions are used for the P2P platform. Digital platforms are a great way to send money to people you know. If you want to send some money that you don't know, you want to use a credit card. This kind of sums up our presentation today. We went over the top 3 payment scams, imposter scams, online marketplace scams, and fake checks. The tricks that fraudsters often use to target their victims are targeting those who are socially isolated, posing as an authority figure, creating a sense of urgency, and tapping into the desire to help others. Sending money digitally safety tips. Send money only to people you know. Be aware of payment scams. Confirm your recipient's contact information and protect your payment platform accounts and understand your various payment options. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark Boston, your sheriff. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room. I wanted to start off that this is something that is very current, happening all the time, and I'm going to give you 2 very recent examples. This afternoon, I got a text from my office that we had someone that was just scammed out of $800. They got a letter from the state of Ohio stating they needed to go to Walmart and send gift cards. And they sent $800 just within the last 2 hours. And another person yesterday was scammed out of $1,500. And again, got a letter from the state of Ohio on letterhead, looking very official. The problem is these people, that they contacted us. The problem is they contacted us after they sent the money. And once the money sent, there's nothing we can do because it's all going overseas. We cannot get the money back. We tried, it doesn't work. It's going overseas. So please, I beg you, tell your friends, contact us beforehand, because we would have looked at that letter and we would have said, the state of Ohio does not take gift cards to scheme. Just like there's no government entity that I know of. What I was thinking while I was sitting there, I just had breakfast yesterday with Attorney General Yost. And I should have thought to ask him, is there any way we can contact all the Walmarts in the state of Ohio and other places? I will sign that says no government entity takes gift cards. I think that would be a huge way of doing it, because we tried press releases. It was just, looking at the Toledo Blade, I get it online. The Monroe County Sheriff just put out a press release. It was in the Blade today. Don't put out the money. Problem is, how many do you get the Blade? Not very many. Okay, a few of you. People don't read the newspaper anymore. People don't watch the local news. We've been on all of those on a regular basis. We never do gift cards. We just don't know any accepts those. But unfortunately, people get the letter, they get the phone call, they get the email, they get notified. I just don't know how to get the word out to people. I'm frustrated because people come to me all the time, Sheriff, I didn't know. Well, I've done every type of press release I can think of, telling people don't send gift cards to us or any government entity. We have people that will tell us that they got a call from a deputy. They'll use legitimate names of people that work with me, saying you have a warrant, you need to get gift cards for $1,000, $2,000, whatever the amount. People send it, and guess what they do? Then they call us to see if we got the money. Call first. I get frustrated. So, a couple quick things I wanted to go over. Please, understand that we can't do a report and notify us if you're not a victim of a crime. It's not, if you got a request for scam money, we can't do anything because you're not a victim. So just delete them, don't let us know. We did say the Attorney General's office tracks that, so let them know. Don't report it to us because we're not gonna do a report where there's no victim. So if you didn't send the money, you're not a victim to something, it's not a crime, it's not something to report to us. But obviously the Attorney General's office tracks, let them know, they will do their thing with it. Also, never give out your personal information to anyone. There's one giveaway to this, never, ever, ever, never is a very powerful word, ever give out your information to someone else. So just like I said, if it's a utility company saying there's a problem with your account, hang up, you look up the phone number, Bowling Green Electric or Bowling Green, Regional Water and Sewer, whoever you get your water from, call them, never give it to a person that called you. Also, all free credit agencies give you a free once a year, you can contact them and have a credit report done on yourself. It's really a good idea to do that once in a while. Equestrian, Friends Union, whatever, all those do it for free one time a year. So it's a good idea to do a credit check on yourself. The other thing that I tell people, and I know it's annoying, how many of you get the solicitation for credit cards? Getting all kinds of credit cards stored at other places. That is a good thing. Okay, that's good. That means your credit score is good. They do not send those offers to people that have bad credit. So if someone's calling your identity, that's actually an indicator. I told you, if you get those letters all the time, a couple times a week or a couple times a month, or MasterCard, Visa, Discover are sending you credit card applications, if those stop, do a credit check on yourself because again, they only send those to people that have good credit. And now,
Okay, you answered my question. I'm worried. I work for Wood County Adult Protective. And I was gonna say, I don't think you report to law enforcement in these situations because you're in the end of their pretty much tired. There's no victim.
if you not send money, if you're not out money, you're not a victim. Right? No, if you did send money, then you are a victim. We'll take it.
So with Adult Protective, we're seeing, unfortunately, when the damage is done. Now, you can't report, we're not gonna be able to investigate. Law enforcement can't investigate, we can't investigate. What we do though is, we typically get the report and it's still happening. Something, so if you know anybody that's still sending money to a romance, deleting their bank accounts, banks are doing, financial institutions are doing a great job trying to stop it. In the long run, it's that person's money, they don't have, they wanna send it, they're gonna send it. So what we do is try to get in there and work with the older person on trying to educate them that this is a scam. Sometimes we have success, sometimes we don't. If they not sending money and they're upset, they want their money back, we will help them go online, report to the Attorney General's office. We will help them go online and report to the Federal Trade Commission. We will help them to try to contact Social Security to fix their identity, whatever needs to be happening. So that's what we do with Adult Protective. We're not going to be able to prosecute someone that we're not going to be overseas. A lot of these are overseas. The money mule gets so complicated because the money is going from one place in the United States to another place, another place, and another place. They're so complicated, but what we're here to do is, I'm so glad there's education out here because once a week, we're getting calls on this scam. I don't know, you said once a week.
Once a day, one yesterday.
Yeah. I can tell you, I'm trying to track it down year by year, reports we're receiving in Adult Protective, people over the age of 60 in Wood County, it tops $50 a year. This is the hard-earned money of our citizens that is just going to these scammers. So I would say, call us if you need help to stop it, or you know somebody that's getting scammed and they can't seem to stop. We will try our best to help them stop it. Or if you just need help to report it to the higher government agency so they can track it, which then funds more money for education and try to get this hold to do it. Well, thank you. Oh,
Okay, thank you, everyone.